Welcome to Pattern and Craft. I'm Courtney, and in today's video, I have a tutorial for this beautiful lace stitch pattern. In my last video, I showed how to work this beautiful edge stitch that I'm using on this scarf. It is a good edge for stockinette and lace, so I'll link in the description the link to that video. And I received a lot of requests to show a tutorial for this lace stitch pattern. So that's what I'm going to do today, is show you how to work this. This is a really easy lace, actually. It looks much more complex than it actually is. And you're only really doing anything complex on the front of the work. When we work the back, it's simply just purling across. So we don't need to worry about doing any fancy stitches on the back. And as far as the techniques we're going to use to create this, all we need to use are yarn overs, knit two together, SSK, and 1x1 cables. And we don't need any cable needles or anything for the 1x1 cables. Those are just worked on the regular needles, and I'll show you how to do that. Now, something to note, I will be releasing this pattern, but I don't have it completed and published yet. Once I do, I will leave a link in the description so you can purchase the pattern if you would like, which will show you how to start your scarf and how to do the increasing areas. Today I'm just showing the straight lace pattern, so if you wanted to create a scarf with this lace pattern before the pattern's available, you could just cast on the right amount of stitches and knit a straight scarf with just a flat bottom. But if you want to do this tapered edge, I'll be releasing a pattern and you can see how to do it once that's available. Or you can just try to work it out yourself if you're already familiar with shaping for knitting. Also, this pattern has sort of a companion scarf pattern that I'm also working up. So I have two different versions. I have the small mini scarf with this more simplified version of the lace. And I have a larger scarf I'm still working on the shaping, and it's going to be wider overall and longer. And it has a very similar lace motif, but we're just working this section twice, whereas in here we only have that section once. But it's the same pattern, so if you like this version, I can show you which 2 rows to repeat again to get this option. So I'll let you know, and I'll post a link in the description of this video when these 2 patterns are available for purchase. Also, one thing I wanted to note about the lace is as you're knitting it, it does look it rolls a bit, it's a bit ripply and uneven. This is something that comes out with blocking. So I haven't blocked this scarf yet, but I went ahead and did do a block on the other scarf. So far, it's called a mid-project block, where you just block what you already have. And you can see how much just blocking your work makes that all even out. It flattens out the fabric, it opens up the lace so you can see the stitch pattern much better. And it's really easy to do. All I did was soak this in lukewarm water with a couple of drops of very mild detergent for 15 to 20 minutes. And then I just rinsed it out, patted it dry with a towel, and then I didn't even stretch this lace. Sometimes people do pin out lace to really open it up, but this I just sort of laid flat to dry and made sure I patted it and flattened it nicely, and it has a much more even shape. It's no longer rolling to the back, and the lace looks really even and beautiful and doesn't have that rippling going on anymore. So just wanted to show you that before we proceed. So I should go over the materials and tools I'm using first. This is a 3.75 millimeter needle. I like ChiaoGoo circulars, but use whichever needles you prefer. And this is the Cardiff Cashmere Classic yarn, and this is the colorway Aeris. It's a really pretty color. Of course, you could use any color you prefer, but this is sort of an off-white with a grayish pink undertone. So I really like that one. It's very ethereal, which I think goes well with the feminine lace pattern. And each of these lace motifs takes 6 stitches to work. So you'll want to cast on a multiple of 6 stitches, and since it's being worked flat, you'll also need to add one more stitch on either side, and then however many stitches you want to add for your edge stitch. If you're using this edge stitch, then you'll need to have 2 at each side. So you'll need multiples of 6 plus 2 plus 4, so a total of 6 additional stitches. So you can just do multiples of 6 since the additional stitches work out to another 6 stitches. But if you're doing a different edge stitch, you'll have to account for that. And for my scarf, after the increases, I have a total width of 4 of the motifs. And then here where the motifs are offset, I have 3 full motifs across plus a half motif on either side. So the full repeat of the lace is basically this section here. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and show how to knit this. I knit continental, so if you knit English style, just follow along the instructions. Don't try to follow me visually in the way I knit. Knit in your own manner. Also, I do my purls a little bit differently than the average. I call it thumb purling, and I have a video on that. This works with normal purling as well. You won't have to do any purls on the front except for the edge stitch, but when we get to the back, you might see that my purling style is a little unusual. Also, I should mention I right now have a total of 30 stitches on my needle. So if you want a similar width to your project, you would want to cast on 30 stitches. All right, I'm going to show how to knit this. I'll do the edge stitch a little bit quickly. If you want a more in-depth tutorial on the edge stitch, I do have that separate video on it, and I will link it in the description of the video. So for the edge stitch, I'm going to slip one with yarn in back, purl one, there's my funny purl, and then we're going to knit one. And that one knit stitch is sort of a column of stockinette all along this edge in between the edge stitch and the lace pattern. So this doesn't really count as part of the lace pattern. It's just part of sort of an interim between the edge stitch and the lace pattern that keeps everything looking clean. And here is the actual lace pattern where we're starting, and we're going to repeat across. So we will knit one. Then we're going to do a 1/1 right cross or cable. So we're going to switch the order of these 2 stitches with the second stitch coming over and to the right. So that's a 1/1 right cross. And then we're going to knit both stitches. The way I like to do that is to insert my needle into the second stitch in the front of the work, in front of the other needle. Then I'm going to pull my left needle out, and you'll see that that one stitch is floating, and then I'll just put that needle right back in and pull that stitch across. That was the second stitch, now it's the first stitch, and I'm going to place it back on my left needle. So these are very small cables. You don't need a cable needle to just cross 2 stitches. I'm going to knit through that first stitch that I just switched the order of, and now I'm going to knit the one that was crossed to the back, and that creates a diagonal knit stitch right here. Now I'm going to do the opposite of that. I'm going to do a 1/1 left cross or 1/1 left cable, and this time we're taking the first stitch on the left needle, crossing it over the second stitch to change the order of the 2 stitches. So this one crosses over this one to become the second stitch on the needle. And the way I like to do that is to move both stitches to the right needle. So just slip them without knitting them purlwise. And then I kind of do the reverse or mirror version of what I did before. So I will insert my needle in the front into the second stitch. Then I'm going to remove my needle from both, my right needle this time, and then pick up that floating stitch right away with my right needle. Then I need to place that back on the left needle. You can see that the order of the 2 stitches has changed now, and we're going to knit that stitch that went behind first, and then knit the stitch that went in front second. And that creates a diagonal knit stitch to the left, and that other stitch comes behind. After we do that left cross, we just knit one, and that is the repeat that we're going to keep repeating all the way across. So I'll go over that a couple more times. So knit one, 1/1 right cross or right cable, changing the order of the 2 stitches, going to the right and knit both, 1/1 left cable or cross, switching the order of the stitches and then going ahead and knitting both, and then knit one. So we've created another repeat. So we're going from here to here, then from here to here. So it's a pretty short repeat, only 6 stitches that you have to remember. So again, we will knit one, 1/1 right cross. I said it was simple, not easy. It might be a little bit tricky at first till you get the hang of it. It's also a little challenging to do on video. It's much faster when I'm just knitting. Okay, 1/1 left cross. Knitting both stitches after we've changed the order, and then knit one. And we only need to do that one more time. All right, and then we are going to knit that column of stockinette that comes before the edge stitch. So knit one, and then we're going to knit the last 2 stitches of our edge stitch, just regular knit stitches. Now we're going to turn our work to the back, and when we knit across the back, all we need to do is the edge stitch and then purl straight across for the rest of the stitches. So the back side is very easy. So all we need to do is our edge stitch. For on the reverse side, it is slip one with yarn in front, then bring the yarn to the back to knit one. That's our edge stitch. And then now we bring the yarn forward and just purl all of the stitches across the back. And yes, my purls look unusual. So check out that thumb purling video if you would like, but it's much more ergonomic and the tension is pretty much comparable to a knit stitch, so you don't get rowing out on the front of your working stockinette. So I do actually really prefer this way of purling, but it can be kind of frustrating if you're doing rib or seed stitch or something like that, where you're switching back and forth between purling and knitting. But I really prefer purling this way if I'm doing a lot of purl stitches in a row. All right, I'm not going to show the whole back because it's literally just purling all the way across all of the stitches all the way to the end. If you're working this lace motif in the round, you would just do one round of knit stitches instead of purling, because you're not working on the back, you're always working on the front of the work when you're working in the round. Okay, I finished working along the back and I'm back on the front of the work. So for the front, we're going to do that same edge stitch plus the 1 knit stitch. So slip one with yarn in back, purl one, knit one for our edge, and then we're going to get back into the lace repeat. So this would be row 3. We did row 1, then we did row 2 on the back. This is row 3 of our lace repeat. So this time we're going to do something really similar but in a different order. First, we're going to start with that 1/1 right cross. So we're going to insert the needle into the second stitch, cross it over, put it back on the left needle, and then work both stitches, just knit them. So 1/1 right cross or 1/1 right cable. Then we're going to knit 2, 1 and 2. And then we're going to do a 1/1 left cable. So again, we'll slip both stitches to the right needle, insert our left needle into the second stitch, pull the right needle out, pick up the floating stitch, place it back on the left needle. Now knit both of those stitches, 1 and 2. Oops. There we go. And that is the full repeat. So it's just a 1 over 1 right cross, knit 2, 1 over 1 left cross, and then repeat that all across. I'll do it a couple more times so you get to see it. So 1 over 1 right cross, knit both of the stitches after switching their order, knit 2, 1 and 2, and then 1 over 1 left cross. Switch the order, knit both, 1 and 2. So keep repeating that all the way across until we get to the edge stitch. Okay, I'm doing my last left cross of my last repeat of the lace. And now I have to just do those last 3 stitches. So knit 1, actually it's knit 3, it's knit all of them. All right, I'm not going to show the back. All I'm going to do is the edge stitch and then purl all the way across. I will show the edge stitch one more time just for those that didn't watch my other video. Just so it's a refresher, it is slip 1 with yarn in front. So I like to bring my needle under the yarn so it's ready to slip with yarn in front. And then I immediately bring it back to the back because I'm going to do a knit 1 right after that. Then I just purl all the way across for the rest of row 4. I'm going to just finish that off screen and then I'll show you row 5. Okay, now I'm ready to knit row 5, but first I wanted to show you that we've now created this little V. So far we haven't knit any lace technically because lace involves having holes in the work. Right now we've just done very small cables. Now we're going to knit the lace part of the motif. So first we do the edge stitch, which in the front side is slip 1 with yarn in back, purl 1, knit 1. Now we are going to start our lace motif repeat, which is first a knit 1. Then we're going to yarn over because what we're going to do next is a decrease. So we want to keep our stitch count the same. And also we want to create one of these little holes, and a yarn over creates a hole. So yarn over, and then we're going to do an SSK, which is a left leaning decrease. So we're going to slip 1 stitch knitwise, slip the next stitch knitwise, insert our left needle into the front of both of those stitches so that we can then knit through the back loop of both of those stitches together. So it's sort of like a knit 2 together, but we're working it differently so it leans to the left. Now we're going to knit a knit 2 together. So this is a right leaning decrease. It takes 2 stitches and decreases it to 1. We're going to insert our right needle through 2 stitches as if to knit. We're going to knit 2 together into 1 stitch. So now we have a right leaning decrease, and we're going to yarn over again to make up for the stitch we just lost and to create the hole. Then we're going to knit 1, and that is a full repeat, and then we're just going to repeat that. So again, for the repeat for row 5 for the lace, it is knit 1, yarn over, SSK or other left leaning decrease of your choice, knit 2 together or other right leaning decrease of your choice, yarn over, knit 1. Again, knit 1, yarn over, SSK, slip, slip, knit together through the back loop, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1. All right, I'm going to do the last repeat and the edge stitch. We've done 4 repeats across. Now we just do our edge stitch, which is knit 3. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. That is the row 5 of the lace motif repeat. I'm going to work the back. I'm not going to show you. It's just edge stitch, then purl all the way across. Okay, I've knit across the back and completed row 6. Now we're going to work row 7. And row 7 and row 9 are exactly the same as row 5. But I will show you how to do it because it looks a little different once we have these holes in our work and the stitch has moved to the inside here. It's the same exact repeat, it just kind of looks a little bit different now that the lace is started. So edge stitch is slip 1 with yarn in back, purl 1, knit 1. And now we're going to work the lace repeat, and it is the same as the prior row. So it is knit 1, yarn over, and then SSK. I know this looks a little funny because it's a stitch going through a yarn over, but just work it like a normal stitch. We're going to slip, slip, and then knit 2 through the back loop to work an SSK. Then a K2 together, so knit 2 together. Then another yarn over, then knit 1. So you're basically doing a mirror. We're doing knit 1, yarn over, left leaning decrease, and then mirroring that with a right leaning decrease, yarn over, knit 1. Each repeats only 6 stitches, but it's really 3 and then the mirror of those 3. That's why I'd say this is a pretty simple, pretty non-complex lace. So knit 1, yarn over, SSK, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1. All right, I'm going to continue working off screen, but just keep repeating that same repeat until the end, and then knit 3 at the very last 3 stitches if you're working the same edge stitch as me. Okay, I've just finished working row 7 on the front side here, and I originally was not going to show you any of the even numbered rows, so the reverse side, but I realized that I haven't shown purling through a yarn over yet. So I am going to show you a little bit of row 8, just so you can see me purl through a yarn over. So I'm going to work my edge stitch and start purling all the way across, which is what we do on the back. If you're working in the round, you'll just do a row of straight knitting. But here is a yarn over, so we're just going to work it like a normal stitch. And just do your best to keep the tension even when we work those yarn overs. Try not to pull them because they're already kind of a looser stitch. Just work them the same way you would purl all the other stitches, like that. All right, I'm going to finish up row 8 by just purling all the way to the end. And then I'll show you row 9, but you pretty much already know what to do for row 9 because it's the same as row 5 and 7. Okay, I just completed row 8, and we can see our starting point was right here. So we've completed these little diagonal areas, and we've got 2 of our little lace holes. And you can see that the full lace motif has 3, 1, 2, 3 of those. So we just need to repeat that same row as 5 and 7 one more time for row 9. So I'll just show one of those since it's pretty much the same thing we've been doing. So edge stitch, knit one, and then the repeat again is knit one, yarn over, SSK, knit two together, yarn over, knit one, and that creates the third hole right here of our little, I don't know, these look kind of like wheat or something, or leaves, but with sort of a hexagonal shape going around. So I'm going to keep working and work that same repeat to the end for row 9 and then knit the last 3 stitches for my edge stitch. Okay, I went ahead and finished up row 9 and knit row 10 off screen just because it was, again, just purling across the back. And now you can see we have our full lace motif and we're ready to go into the next one, but the next one is offset. You can see we have one here and then one here. They're kind of knitted between the two of the previous row. So I'll go ahead and show you that. It's the same repeat, but in a different order. So it really is a 20 stitch repeat. But you're kind of doing the same things we just did for the last 10 rows over again, but offset. All right, for this portion, we are going back to doing little cables instead of doing lace knitting. First, I'm going to do my edge stitch, slip one with yarn in back, purl one, knit one. So now we are going to start with a 1/1 left cable. So we're going to move 2 stitches to the right needle, pick up the second stitch, let go, put it back on, and replace that stitch. So what we did was change the order of those 2 stitches by moving the one that was in first place in front and to the left. And now we're going to knit both of those stitches, 1 and 2. So 1/1 left cross, and we're going to just simply knit 2, 1 and 2, and then we're going to do a 1/1 right cross, which is a little more simple. We just insert our right needle into the second stitch, remove the left needle, and stick that floating stitch back on the left needle, and move that one back to the left so we can knit both. So 1/1 right cross. So that's the repeat right there. Left cross, knit 2, right cross. And we'll repeat that one more time. So 1/1 left cross, so move 2 stitches over, pick up the second stitch, drop and replace, put it back. They're in a new order now, with the top stitch going to the left, knit both, knit 2, 1 and 2, and then 1/1 right cross or right cable, just like that. We have changed the order of the stitches and then we knit them both. All right, so that's the repeat. We've done 2 so far. We need to do 2 more and then I'll show you the edge. And then I simply knit the last 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And then I work my same wrong side row for row 12. This was row 11. For row 12, we're just gonna turn our work to the back and work across the back and purl. Okay, now we're ready to knit row 13, which is pretty much the same as row 3, but offset. So edge stitch, and now we can work our repeat, which is knit 1, 1/1 left cross, 1/1 right cross, knit 1. So that is the repeat. What we're doing is creating these diagonal lines again. I'll show that once more. So knit 1, 1/1 left cross, one over one right cross, knit 1. I'm going to do that twice more, and then we're done with all the cabling, and we move into the lace portion. So I'm going to finish up row 13, and then I'm going to knit row 14 off camera, which is the reverse side, which is edge stitch and purl, and then I'll show you row 15. Okay, row 14 is done. I'm ready to show you row 15, but also we can see we have completed these diagonal lines, and now it's time to work the lace motif again. I'm just going to show you row 15, and then you're going to go ahead and work 16, 17, 18, and 19 on your own. Row 17 and 19 are exactly the same as row 15. And the backside rows again are just the edge stitch and then purl across. So we're gonna slip one with yarn in back, purl one, and knit one for the edge stitch. Then our lace repeat is to knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2, 1 and 2, yarn over, and SSK. All right, I'll show you that one more time. Knit 2 together, or any right leaning decrease you prefer, yarn over, knit 2, 1 and 2, yarn over, and SSK or other left leaning decrease that you prefer. There you go. So just repeat that until you're done with row 15. Work a wrong side row, do the same thing over again for row 17 and row 19, and then work another wrong side row after that, and we're done. I'm going to work all that off camera and then just meet you back to kind of go over things. Okay, I've gone ahead and I finished up row 15, and I knit rows 16 through 20, and this is a 20 row repeat and a 6 stitch repeat side to side. So you can see the stitch repeat is from here to here, and then the row repeat is from here to here. So that is how to knit this beautiful lace stitch pattern. And if you did want to do the more elongated version here, then all you would need to do is repeat rows 1 through 4 one more time after knitting those. So rows 1 through 4 are right here on that pattern and here on this pattern. So you would just do another rows 1 through 4 and then knit the normal lace pattern that we just showed. And then when you get to rows 11 through 14, you would knit those and then knit them again to get this second row of the diagonals, whereas here we just do that once here. So 1 through 4, 11 through 14, we're just doing that twice on this version of the stitch pattern. I think this one was not featured in the other video. I think the one that was shown in the video is this one. I am going to release the pattern for both of these scarves. This one will be a mini scarf, and then the other will be a little bit wider and longer, and it has the slightly different stitch pattern. So I'll link those in the description whenever they are finished and published. But for now, I wanted to just provide that stitch pattern for you. I had several people asking for it, so there you go. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on this beautiful lace stitch pattern. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check the description for any additional information and links to my pattern shops and my social media links. And if you make anything using this stitch pattern, I would love if you would tag me at Pattern and Craft on Instagram. All right, I'll see you next time. Happy crafting!